So the next question. So the question is, A, B, C, D and E work on job X. If the ratio of number of days for which B and D worked on job X is 4:3, then find the difference between number of days for which B and D worked. So friends, for this question, so you remember that table which they gave after that line graph. So we have to use the details which they have given in the table. So in that table, so just you can go back and check with the table. So they have given a time in which actually this person's worked for. So you can see A worked for 2 days, C worked for 3 days and E worked for 2 days. So this is the data given in the table, and for B and D it was left blank. So that data they have given here in this question. So B and D time taken ratio is given 4:3. So if A, C, E work for 2, 3 and 2 days, so they have done some amount of toys, and the remaining toys is done by B and D in this ratio 4:3. So we have to find actual time which B and D worked for to do the remaining work, and then difference in time taken. So now with this instant data, directly you can see how much work these persons have done in this days, which is given in the table. So one day A can make 18 toys. So 18 into 2, 36 toys. So C can make 12 per day. So in 3 days, 36. So E has worked for 2 days. So per day 9, that is 18. So now adding all this. So our convenience of converting time to work. So we can add the work done. So adding all 36 plus 70 to 80. So they have made 90 toys. So now what is the remaining work? So in this 180, so as they have done 90, so remaining is 90 toys, which has to be done by B and D, which B and D have completed. So what is the data given? So time taken by B and D is ratio 4:3. So according to this ratio, if I assume B has worked for 4 days, so which we did in the earlier question, so 20:21 was the ratio. I took for 20 days and found what was that work, and needed work we found the number of days. So here, so assuming B works for 4 days. Now what will be work done by B? Per day 15. So in 4 days, 4 into 15, 60. And D works for 3 days. So D can do 10 per day. So in 3 days, 30. So they have made 90 toys, which is the remaining work. So this remaining work, 90 toys, is done by B in 4 days, D in 3 days. So now 90 remaining work is over. So now we need to find difference between number of days in which B and D worked for. So this ratio itself will give you the data. So according to this, B works for 4 days and D works for 3 days. So what is difference in time taken? Which is 1 day. So that is our question which they have asked for. So the remaining work is done by B and D. Time taken ratio 4:3. So having this 4 and 3, the remaining work has been fulfilled. So which means in this 4 and 3 days work of B and D, the remaining 90 toys has been fulfilled. So question is difference between number of days for B and D. So B has worked for 4 days, D has worked for 3 days, so difference in time taken is 1 day. So answer is 1. So we'll see the next question.